because only then will you act accordingly. Most people try to fix the outside world. The boss, the partner, the government, the economy, they never fix their minds. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. And what you are depends on what you believe you are. Will Smith talked about this, deciding he'd be a movie star before he even was one. He didn't wait for contracts. He acted the part because, in his mind, it was already true. The world responded. Science is catching up. Carnegie Mellon research shows self-perception directly impacts life outcomes. Self-image isn't just self-esteem. It's the invisible ceiling limiting how much good you allow into your life. You were born prosperous, but if you don't believe it, you'll live poor. And mental poverty is far crueler than financial poverty. Close your eyes. Imagine your ideal life. Peaceful, abundant, free. Don't focus on how, focus on why. Why do you deserve this? Why is it your birthright? Feel it, breathe it. Because when you see yourself as prosperous in value, capability, purpose, the external world starts to align. You'll remember who you always were. Prosperous, just asleep. Now you're waking up. What's the most dangerous thing about your comfort zone? It doesn't hurt, it doesn't scream or push or pressure, it just gently lulls you. A light sleep where everything seems calm. But that's where dreams die, quietly, without fanfare. It's where you trade freedom for security, purpose for routine, and greatness for good enough. I've known people like that. I was one. I've spent nights in a cozy bed, food in the fridge, bills mostly paid, but inside, emptiness. You've probably felt it, that sense of living smaller than you could, of what could be but aren't. Why? We're conditioned to avoid discomfort, risk, the unknown. When things are good enough, we stop growing. And when we stop growing, we start to wither, not physically but emotionally, spiritually, mentally. The sparkle fades, motivation wanes, enthusiasm turns to boredom. You go on autopilot. Do you wake up thinking, another day, same as the last? Watch the clock, wishing it would end, long for Friday on Monday. Stagnation. Silent self-sabotage. At a seminar, a man approached me. "Bob, good job, bills paid, nice car. But I feel dead inside." I asked, "When did you last do something for the first time?" He paused, eyes welling. "I don't know." That's the core issue. No growth means decay. Everything expands or contracts. You're either advancing or retreating, even if it feels like standing still. Raymond, who gave me Think and Grow Rich, said something I'll never forget. If you don't know where you're going, any road will do. But with clarity, you'll never settle. That pulled me from my comfort zone. I'd surpassed poverty, lived well, traveled, but something warned me. I was in a new prison, comfortable success. Having exceeded expectations, I could stop. But stopping meant abandoning my mission, becoming a fraud. I pushed myself, studied harder, took bigger risks, invested in things that scared me, spoke publicly when my body wanted to flee, entered environments where I wasn't the smartest. I was reborn, again and again. Growth is dying to what you were, to become what you can be. How many brilliant ideas did you shelve because it wasn't the right time? How many opportunities did you miss, paralyzed by fear of judgment? How often did you ask, what if it fails? But never, what if it succeeds? Comfort isn't security. Emotional security comes from growth, not familiarity, but challenge. Discomfort is the birthplace of evolution, the raw material of transformation, the sign you're alive and moving. For the next 7 days, do something to break your routine, something you've put off. A tough call, a course, a personal project. Anything that creates friction. When fear arises, and it will, don't run. Smile at it, thank it. Fear proves you're leaving your comfort zone, the only path to fulfillment. What got you here won't get you where you want to go. If life is good, great. But good is the enemy of excellent. You weren't born for good enough. You were born for abundance. That won't happen in your comfort zone. The world reflects your mind. Every choice, behavior, outcome stems from a seed planted not in your environment, but in the fertile ground of your imagination. What you think repeatedly, feel intensely, believe with conviction, manifests. This isn't magic. It's law. Few understand it. Fewer use it consciously. My life mirrored my beliefs. I believed making money was hard, that people like me, uneducated, unconnected, couldn't prosper. So I confirmed it daily: low income, debt, dependence. The world seemed cruel, but I was projecting that reality by thinking small, seeing myself as worthless, feeling inferior. The turning point was realizing life followed a pattern. Limiting thoughts created frustration, leading to insecure actions, confirming scarcity, an inescapable cycle. Then I learned you can change your thoughts and change everything. Your mind is a workshop. You build images, activating emotions, directing energy. Constant thoughts of debt, lack, fear, rejection generate a negative vibration, attracting more of the same. Not because the universe punishes you, but because you signal your availability. Changing your inner image, even if nothing external changes immediately, reorganizes the world in your favor. This is living from the inside out, while most live the other way, waking, seeing bills, and letting that dictate feelings, thoughts, and actions. Mind mastery makes you your reality's creator. Frequent thoughts become beliefs, commanding behavior, often automatically. Neuroscience shows over 90% of daily decisions are unconscious, based on old mental patterns formed in childhood, family, school, culture, trauma. What did you hear about money as a child? Money is dirty. Rich people don't go to heaven. Poor people stay poor. Repeated phrases shape perception, creating blocks that sabotage your chances of growth, prosperity, and abundance. Incredibly hardworking people stay trapped because they think they just need to work harder. It's not physical strength, it's mental programming. I remember driving, reflecting on teachings, holding my goal card, $25,000 by the end of the decade. I envisioned having that amount, better clothes, helping family, speaking, inspiring. Something shifted. For the first time, I didn't just want it, I believed it was possible. Most ignore this. Desiring isn't enough. You need to visualize clearly, to feel it as already true. Your mind doesn't distinguish reality from imagination. Repeating an image daily with emotion makes your brain accept it as real. You change, your posture, language, energy shift. The world responds. Some people attract opportunities easily, others struggle. It's not luck, it's awareness. Jim Carrey, before fame, wrote himself a $10 million check, dated it in the future, carried it, visualized receiving it. Years later, he received exactly that for a film. Coincidence? Maybe. I call it law in action. Examine your thoughts. What images do you feed yourself? Do you tell yourself you're capable, deserving, abundant, or do you criticize, belittle, blame yourself? It's all there. Your mind is sacred territory. No one enters without permission. But if you don't consciously plant what you want to harvest, weeds grow. Create an image. Set a goal. See yourself there. Feel it. Act as if. Not to deceive, but to reprogram the only system defining what's possible for you, your belief system. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. And what you are starts with what you think. Thinking seems obvious, yet most don't question how they think. The core of life change isn't just thinking, it's learning to think correctly. Most don't truly think. They recycle memories, reactions, conditioning. They live based on mental repetitions, following a script they never consciously wrote. They're in a trance, wake up, live, sleep, repeat. Never asking, why am I doing this? Why do I live like this? If I could change it, where would I start? When first asked, I felt uncomfortable. I'd never reflected. I reacted to life, thinking things were happening to me. I learned they were happening because of me. My thinking, the ideas I accepted, the stories I told myself. A major revelation was understanding paradigms, belief and habit systems, controlling over 95% of behavior. It's the mind's operating system. Unless you change it, new ideas won't stick. You'll revert to old patterns. People read books, take courses, watch videos, yet stay stuck because they know what to do, but don't. Their paradigm prevents it. I remember working as a firefighter, stable job, fixed salary, benefits. But whenever I thought of leaving for something new, challenging and fulfilling, a voice said, "What if it fails? What if you're a failure? Another disappointment?" That was my old paradigm, keeping me in the known, even when it suffocated me. I learned to replace those voices. Thinking is a skill, learned, developed, improved. It wasn't luck, it was practice. Daily I asked, does this thought bring me closer to what I want? If not, I replaced it, consciously, with discipline, perseverance, faith. A silent miracle happened. My reality shifted. New ideas arose, new opportunities appeared. I saw myself differently. When you see yourself differently, you act differently. Different actions yield different results. This only happens when you take control of your thinking. Bruce Lee knew this. Unlocking your potential hinges on a single powerful truth. Your thoughts aren't facts, they're choices. For years I was stuck, crippled by the belief that certain things were simply the way they are, be it my anxiety, indecisiveness, or even perceived limitations in my career. I bought into the myth of fixed abilities, of inherent shortcomings. But the reality is far more liberating. We're not defined by our ingrained patterns, but by our capacity to reshape them. Stanford research backs this up. A growth mindset, the belief that intelligence and skills are malleable, dramatically improves performance. The opposite, self-sabotage disguised as realism. Think of your mind as a courtroom. For too long, I acted as the defense attorney for my limitations, presenting a compelling case built on fear and self-doubt. The judge, me, inevitably ruled against any chance of change. But what if you flipped the script? What if you became the passionate advocate for your potential, relentlessly arguing for your success, dismantling the flimsy excuses that hold you back? This isn't about ignoring challenges, it's about reframing them. It's about recognizing that "I can't" is often a cleverly disguised "I'm afraid." That feeling of being stuck isn't an immutable fact, but a narrative you've allowed yourself to believe. Self-justification, that insidious habit of blaming external forces for your lack of progress, is the silent enemy. It whispers sweet nothings of realism and caution, but its true aim is to keep you exactly where you are, comfortable in your inertia. We tell ourselves, the market's down, my boss is unfair, it's too late. These are comforting lies, skillfully crafted to shield us from the uncomfortable truth, our fear of failure. I remember the fear that gripped me when my cleaning business started taking off, the paralyzing dread of expansion. My excuse, I need more experience, a perfect smokescreen for my fear. Until someone brutally, yet helpfully, pointed out that procrastination disguised as preparation is still procrastination. It was a wake-up call. The danger, the people who love us often unknowingly reinforce these limitations, cushioning us from the sting of potential failure. Their concern is well-meaning, but it can be a dangerous comfort. How many times have you used logic as a shield for fear? How many times have you said, "It's not possible," without even trying? This isn't about ignoring obstacles, it's about choosing how to respond to them. Viola Davis, a powerhouse in Hollywood, once believed that the industry wasn't ready for a black woman like her. She was right. But that didn't make it an unbreakable truth. She chose to challenge that narrative, and the result speaks volumes. The key takeaway? The wealth you seek isn't out there, it's within. It's about clarity of vision, conscious thought, and purposeful action. True transformation doesn't stem from forcing the external world to change, but from reorganizing your internal one. List your excuses, those carefully constructed barriers to progress. Analyze them. Ask yourself, is this fear in disguise? That simple act might be the key that unlocks years of stagnation, because ultimately you either justify or you transform. You can't do both. The journey to a better you starts now. Let's continue this conversation in the next video. Thank you for being here. Ever feel like your financial struggles aren't about money, but something deeper? It sounds crazy, right? But what if everything you need to transform your life is already inside you? Why then, month after month, are you still wrestling with bills, debt, and anxieties about the future? It's not a lack of cash. It's a case of faulty programming. Let me show you what I mean. You were born wealthy, not in dollars, but in potential. An untapped power so vast that if you harnessed it, fear, insecurity, and scarcity would be distant memories. The problem? You were taught to look outward, not inward. Success, they said, required luck, connections, impressive titles, a flawless resume. No one ever told you the real wealth, the lasting kind that fuels freedom, peace, and purpose, was already there from day one. This isn't just motivational fluff, it's a fundamental truth. Think about a newborn. No fear, no shame about crying, no doubts about what they deserve. They're fully expressive, wanting, asking, believing. Why? Because they haven't yet been conditioned to think small. But over time, filters were applied. That's too much for you. Who do you think you are? Money doesn't grow on trees. Life's just hard. These phrases, often spoken with love, infiltrated your subconscious, slowly eroding your belief in your own greatness. You started settling for scraps, accepting the possible instead of the extraordinary. And it's not your fault. You were programmed this way. The first step to changing it? Recognizing it's not fixed. At 26, my life was a mess. Under $20,000 a year income, over $30,000 in debt, no degree, no confidence, no plan. Heartburn at night, guilt in the morning, a forced smile masking inner failure. Worse, I believed I deserved it. Ordinary, uninspired, destined for mere survival. Then I met Raymond Douglas Stanford. He looked me in the eye and said, "Bob, you're sick, broke, and unhappy. It's not your lack of money, it's your self-image. You think poor, you see small. Until that changes, nothing else will." That hit like a punch. Brutal truth. He handed me Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. "There's a secret in this book," he said. "Find it, apply it, and you can have anything you want." I laughed. It sounded insane, but I also thought, what do I have to lose? I started. I wrote on a card, "I will have $25,000 by the end of the decade." I barely believed it myself. It felt like a joke, a fantasy. In my reality, $25,000 was the equivalent of living on the moon. But I wrote it anyway. I read that card daily, in the bathroom, in the car, secretly, because people laughed. They mocked, they scoffed, they called me crazy. But inside, a spark ignited, grew into a flame, and finally became unwavering belief. I was creating a new mental image of someone capable, deserving, valuable. A year later, I wasn't making $25,000. I was making $175,000. Soon, over $1 million a year. No degree, no inheritance, no connections, just a decision. To change my self-image. What changed? Not the world. Me. That's what needs to happen for you. Your current income, address, education, or past doesn't define your worth. Your worth is intrinsic, but you need to realize it, to feel it in your bones.